Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from BidAmount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art, located in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Today is Friday, July 21st, 2017. And before we get started taking a look at last week's auction results through the newsletter catalog on eBay, I wanted to do a quick review with you about something that we had posted on the site last week. It was about this auction. We did a blog on it. It was a sale that was scheduled to take place over 2 days, last Saturday and Sunday, down in Marietta, Georgia. And we took a good look at the porcelains. I got a lot of email from people. People were posting it on the Facebook Collecting Chinese Ceramics page, asking questions about it. They're all fakes. All the porcelain was fakes. There were other things in the sale as well. There were some jades and whatnot. And and some bronzes, supposedly from a bronze collector down in Georgia somewhere. I didn't take a good look at those, but if the porcelains were any indications, they were probably very problematic as well. And what I thought it would be fun to do would be to go back and look and see what some of the items brought and compare them to real examples that have been sold by either Christie's or Sotheby's over the last 5 or 10 years. And it's sort of an educational thing. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was this. This is a very well-known type of guanware or giware. They're sort of interchangeable terms these days. Zun vase with a Yongchen mark on it. Well, first, this isn't a Zun. It's a Hu-form vase, all right? So that was their first big mistake. And this vase is new. It has no age to it at all that we could tell. I probably have shoes older than this. And it went for $17,000, okay? But you want to take a good look at the characteristics of the glaze on this, how it's finished, how it's worked, and so forth. There were so many problems with this vase, it's hard to know where to begin, as you're going to see with all of these pieces once you really take a look at them. But we're going to take a look at a Christie's example that sold at the Arts of Asia sale a couple of years ago in 2013. This one had repairs to it, and it brought 73,000 euros. All right, this is a real one, okay? And we're going to open it up here. I remember this. I like Yi-type vases and guanware and wonderful glaze, like monochromes. And the first thing you can do is you can take a good look at the surface. The texture of the surface on these early big pieces especially tends to be slightly irregular, be a little bit bumpy. You can see it up here. Where they black ink them to bring out the crackle is very nicely done, very even. Good work. This is one of the repairs. One of the heads had been knocked off, apparently, as I recall. But a beautiful example. There was even a little bit of wear on the boss here on the front of it, right here. Now, wear on high points doesn't necessarily mean anything because they can, of course, fake wear. But it's good to see nonetheless. And as you travel down the piece, you see in areas like this, little spots, and just the basic feeling of the glaze, the texture of it, the way the cracks are done, that it's probably okay. I wish they had included pictures of the bottom of it. But at any rate, as I said, this one went for 73,000 euros with a repair, and this one went for 17,000. So somebody's going to be pretty disappointed. Whoever bought these pieces is going to have a very bad awakening one day. And then there was this. These moon flasks, be very careful. Chin-long moon flasks are turning up in the market all over the place. It's incredible how many I've seen in the last few years. I saw one in a very nice house in this area not long ago, and they're all copies. This is the bottom of it. If you're looking at a Chin-long Imperial anything, or you think you are, forget the mark. The marks on these days are done quite well. The mark is the last thing you want to look at when you're trying to date a piece of porcelain. They mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing these days, unless they're really badly done. But a perfectly done mark means nothing. Well, what's wrong with this vase first is just to look at the foot. That rusty iron oxide crap all over it. It's badly finished. It isn't done properly. The glaze comes up inappropriately on the underside. And the decoration on it is just very stiff and dead looking. The cobalt blue is dead looking. It doesn't have the lively feel of authentic artwork done by a real artisan in the 18th century. It just doesn't. And the heaping and piling effect means nothing, which this vase had. People used to write in books, oh, if it's got heaping and piling, it's authentic. No, forget that. It doesn't mean a thing anymore. They can heap and pile anything. Heaping and piling is an irrelevant term. It's nice to see on an authentic piece. Now, this is a real one, okay? That other one sold for like, well, let's take a quick check. I forgot what it sold for. It sold for, the fake sold for $14,000. Kind of surprised it even got a bid. But at any rate, here's a real one. This sold a few years ago. Notice the liveliness of the color, the beautiful color, the beautiful tone of the blue. It sort of radiates off the piece. Very nicely done, very delicately painted underglazed blue. You have to really look at that. It just sort of, the whole piece just sort of sparkles. Also, the shaping of this is better. They haven't quite perfected the shapes in some of those moon flasks. This one has a much more generous sort of rotund body to it. But some of them are pretty good. At any rate, this vase sold for $2.6 million in 2011. A pair of them just sold not long ago at Bonham's for around $4 million. So you get the point. Nobody in Marietta, Georgia last weekend bought a $2 million to $3 million vase for 14 grand. Just didn't happen. Too bad. All right, and then this putting this pair up probably took more nerve than anything else they sold last week. It's a pair, purportedly a pair of Qinlong Marken period hexagonal vases. If you've been collecting for any length of time, you've seen them before. You've seen the real ones. We're going to get to a real one in a minute. But notice that the darkness of the blue and the brushwork, the general design is correct. But first thing, the pairs of these are virtually unknown outside of the Palace Museum collection. And this one is these two are just ridiculous. And these are big vases, too. These vases were 25 so inches tall. There's a real one. Notice the difference. This is a real one. Those are the fakes. Hard, dark blue, very sort of unelegant looking. There's a real one. Very elegant, very beautiful, sublime potting, going up sort of stretched and attenuated, very feminine looking. Here's the work. It's like a beautiful lady. Notice the details, how well they're done. Again, they used heaping and piling on these. It's just a technique of making the underglazed blue thicker, but beautifully shaded the fruit and the vines, and this lovely border pattern they utilized around the bottom just has so much going for it. And what did this one sell for? This one sold for 17 million, over 17 million Hong Kong a number of years ago, back in I forget when this was 2000, there it is, 2011. And about 17 million Hong Kong, or roughly a couple of $1 million, okay, for one, not for a pair, all right? So somebody got really taken. And then there was this again was something that astounded me, that they got bids at all. This pair of coral bowls, coral ground bowls done during the Kangxi, as you know, and Kangxi Yongchen and some early Qinlong examples, were all painted in the imperial workshops. They were all done at the Imperial Atelier. The bowls were formed elsewhere, brought in and hand decorated by the best enamelers in China. Men and women, men only, mostly men, extraordinary talent. And here's a detail of the enamels that they did provide, which after seeing this, I can't imagine anyone who has ever seen a real one of these would think this was real. The first thing, the red is the wrong color, the ground color's off. But notice how dead the greens look, how dead the colors are, especially up in here. These dark greens, sort of familial vert, but they just look dead. They're too gray, kind of muddy looking. The blue shading here, there's no irregularity. It looks like it was almost spray painted on, but just really unfortunate work. And now let's take a look at a real one, and you will especially pay attention to the green. You'll immediately see the difference. I'm not even going to look at the marks, because the marks are so easy to copy. They're not going to tell you anything. All right, here's a real one. All right, look at the color. Look how it just calls out. It's just beautifully done. And if you bring it in, get it in a bit closer, there it is. Notice how the blue and the shading is done here, how the green is done. The green is very lively, very luminescent. The yellow is spectacular, as is the rose enamels down here and up on the sort of secondary flowers. Just a wonderful type, okay? And what did this one bring? This one brought $900,000 for a single some years ago. When did this one sell? In 2013, 4 years ago. And there's the bottom of it again. Wonderful quality, has a Marchant label on it. And that's what it should look like, okay? So go to that one, and then go back to this one, and this pair, and the difference becomes rather obvious. At any rate, some poor man went home with these thinking he got the real thing, and I feel sorry for him. But at any rate, don't fall for it. The internet's just full of junk. All right, now we'll get over to the newsletter. This was a vase that we had in the catalog last week. The seller had thought it was Republican. I thought maybe it was late Qing. Here's the bottom of it, rather nicely done. The age on it is very hard to nail down, but there's the brushwork, good enamels, good decoration. It's actually better. This is a better thing than half the stuff, just in quality, than the repros we just looked at down in Eden Galleries. All right, nice looking little vase, and it went for just $1,267. Nice looking thing. A dealer who's been getting things over in Dorchester in the UK has been finding some things. All right, and this is something I wanted to apologize for. We put this on. I found this on eBay last weekend. It was a seller we didn't know. It was a really beautiful piece of Chinese silk, probably 18th century, with dragons. They called it a wedding panel. I think it was a table hanging, but exceptional quality, very, very nice color, and it was big, beautiful, big example. And it disappeared on Saturday, and I didn't understand what happened. It had no bids for $49. It had just gone up, and I messaged the seller, and he said that he had gotten an offer from somebody who had seen it, and he put it up as a buy it now, and it resold. If you look it up under Old House 09 is the seller. You look it up, you'll see he sold it on a buy it now offer of under $4,000, which I think was a terrible mistake. I think this was probably a $6,000 to $8,000 silk. It was a beautiful quality thing. At any rate, I hope he lived and learned. So I'm sorry if you went to look at it and it was gone. That's what happened to it. All right, now we have this. It's a rather nice late Yongchen, early Qianlong period pear-shaped teapot or wine pot. It's a nice example. Beautiful, deep, dense colors. Nice original lid on it, and so forth. And it didn't have any repairs that I recall. And it did quite well. It brought $494, which isn't a bad price for that at all if you're a teapot collector. And then you have this robe that was put up. This is an early 20th century robe, from what we could tell, but good quality all the way around. Nice color. Had some elements in it that point to a later date, especially the way this is done, and some other things, but a good example nonetheless. And went for $2,400, which isn't a bad price at all, considering that the one that's 40 years older would sell for $6,000 to $9,000. And our friend Freak over in the Netherlands had this. He sells out of the Hans 39. We'll look at it in a minute. Name. He gets wonderful things. He's got a very good eye for porcelain and ceramics. He's actually a potter himself, but he didn't make this. This is a nice nice late 19th, early 20th century vase. Beautiful pink ground color, nice quality enamels. Look at the decoration on it, just very nicely done. And it did well. It brought $1,905, which is a good price for that. Not overpaid, but very good quality, rather attractive. And this was something that didn't sell or didn't make the reserve, which shocked me because the reserve was, the bidding stopped on it. We put it in the newsletter because I really liked it. And a nice piece of armorial porcelain. The work on it all looked to be in good shape. He had 3 of them. I think he's trying to sell. I don't know why he broke them up. But at any rate, nice basins with flat bottoms, minor scratches on the back side from something. At any rate, it didn't sell. It only got up to $92. I remember when armorial stuff used to fly off of eBay, and I don't know why it didn't do more. It may be somebody that didn't know much about a few people didn't know much about memorial pieces and export, and know that they did have flat unglazed bottoms sometimes, just like platters. At any rate, there was this sung piece. This was put up, Gordon Gekko had this. Rather nice. It looks sung to me. The bottom of it looks good. The base is slightly concave. You can actually see some fingerprints on here. Where they pushed it around and smoothed out the clay. Nice glaze line around it. He had came with a little box. I mean, somebody probably bought it in Hong Kong not too long ago, maybe 30 years ago. And it went very reasonably. If you collect sung pieces, this was a good buy. It only went for $266. Not bad. Not bad at all. And then there's this. This was a very nice mother of pearl panel with obviously a rondelle in the center with a figural scene in front of some buildings on a terrace. I love the way they did the terrace. The figures are nicely done. There's a little bit of color shading, pinks and so forth, in the mother of pearl, and good quality. And they obviously they carved them and they inked them down in here to get the fruit, the citron fingers and so forth. There's a picture of the back of it. It's kind of dogged looking, which it should be. So late 19th, early 20th century panel. But very nice, and I like this stuff. And it's not one of the fakes being made in Vietnam these days. They're making copies of this stuff in Vietnam and other places. You want to be careful. But this was a real one, and it went for just $201, which I thought was a rather nice buy if you wanted looking for something to hang on your wall. And we're going to get to something else that you might want to hang onto your wall, and everybody missed it, including me, and I was shocked. We'll talk about that in a minute. This was another very, very nice late Yongchen, early Qinlong plate that our friend in the Netherlands had also in his sale last week. Beautifully done. I love the green enamel around the rim. Very nice, lively lime green. Good deep, dark famille rose enamels. And nice shading of all the different greens into the middle here, that bluish green. Notice they're all outlined in black, the way it should be. Nice looking piece. Here's the back of it. That's the way the foot should look on this. Little bits of kiln grit and whatnot. And there it is again. Nice looking thing. And it went really reasonable. Plates are a bargain these days. $178 to get a beautifully painted piece of Yongchen early. Oh, he said it's Yongchen early Qinlong period plate. I agree with him. He's a pretty sharp guy. He's also a potter. I don't know if I mentioned that. So, anyway, I like the guy. And it went for $178, so it's a terrific buy for someone. And then there was this pair of export sleeve vases. One of them, I think, had a polished rim or something, but it's a stock pattern, as you all know. It had underglazed blue and overglazed enamels. They made them in this pattern. Some people collect this pattern because they made them in everything. They made them in teacups, teapots, tureens, platters, you name it, plates, dinner services. And there's enough of them around that if you got into it, you could probably build an entire service using this pattern. It would look pretty nice, okay? Here's a picture of the bottom. Very typical of these 18th century pieces, about 1780. And they brought $355 for the pair. Not a bad buy. Not a bad buy at all. And then there was this Republican famille rose plate. This is a type of plate that has really come into favor in the last few years. Sort of done in the mid-18th century style without a border, but beautiful loose painting of floral scenes and little landscapes. Here you're over with a rocky outcropping. Nice looking thing. And the back of it looks like this. And it's got a Kung Su mark on it, and it probably is from around that period. I don't dispute the date at all. It could be Republican, hard to say. The kilns didn't change too much between the Kung Su period and the Republic period, if they changed at all. Kangxi 0219 was the seller, and it brought $518. Wasn't many years ago that plate was worth about $40. They've come up a long way. And this was a nice thing. This was, for those of you who like metalwares, this was a wonderful hand warmer. As you know, most hand warmers are rectangular in shape or slightly squared, on occasion round or oval. But lobed ones are pretty unusual. And this one was all incised very nicely, all through the metalwork, all around it, roux heads. And the top of it was beautiful. It was wonderfully done. This is a real deal here. It looked like it might have had some gilding on it at some point. It's sort of coppery brass bronze that they used to radiate the heat. And it didn't get, nobody got it for nothing, but there it is again. $760, and that is not a lot for one of these, okay? This is a much better sort of best of breed than the typical square ones you see. And it had a lot of nice work in it. So that was a good buy, all right? And I don't know who Two Pink Flamingos is. That was a seller. I don't think we've ever had them up before. I think they handle mostly household goods. Okay, now we're going to get to the two great bargains of the week. I put these in. I like Chinese paintings. I collect them. And this was a wonderful, there are two of these, wonderful watercolor gouache with a poem and inscription. I didn't bother to break it down, but it looks like a 19th century example to me. And I love the old frame, just love the old frame on it. There's a detail of it with the scholarly books and the root scepter coming out of the pot, and this beautiful big screen, all kinds of furniture and furnishings in it. And here she is with her basket. Looks like she's sewing, and just lovely. And it went for $15. All right, I had it in the newsletter. I don't know why nobody was bidding on it. It went for 15 bucks. It was a steal. And so did this one. Same seller. He had two of them. They were probably a pair in someone's house. He picked them up. And again, furniture in the painting. If you like paintings with furniture in them, this was a wonderful. It even had a bow and arrow. And here's one of those. That's a real Zun vase. And this also went for $15.50. 5 bids. So somebody got a great buy. I thought those would bring $300 to $500 a piece pretty easily. All right, and there's the last sleeve vase that was in the auction from last week. It was a nice one, 18th century also, 1780s or 90s, but a very good quality. This was the type that has the chicken. The chicken, we call them chicken skin grounds. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? There it is. This one right here. The stippling on the ground here. They usually did that on the better pieces, and the vase itself was shaped, and then it was molded out to produce these cartouches in relief work, and then all hand decorated, beautifully done, delicately done rim on it. Had allegedly an old hairline somewhere in it, around the mouth, I guess, but I never saw it. And it went pretty reasonably, $389 for a nice top of the quality underglazed blue Chinlung sleeve vase. And then one of the very last things we're going to talk about was this. This was my friend William over in the UK, smart young guy, dealer, and he had some bronzes up. And I thought this was charming. It was a water buffalo water dropper with a buoy on it, probably late Ming, very early Qing possibly. But excellent quality, and nice patina, never been disturbed from what I could see. You can see on the sides how the patina is a little worn from being handled. Those are caused by being picked up. And a wonderful thing. And it went for $733, which I don't think was an overpay by anyone. I thought it was a nice purchase, though. All right. And then the last thing is this is coming up this weekend. We're just starting to put together the newsletter for this weekend. And we came across this. I wanted to share it with you. It was a nice dragon panel, beautifully done, reticulated frame with apple blossoms. It looks like good quality to me. And there it is. And that'll be in the newsletter this week. Okay? So that's it. And there's still some things up that we're going to just add on to. And everybody have a great weekend. I'm sorry the video went over, but I wanted to talk about the auction results from down in Georgia. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We do this every week. And if you don't get the weekly newsletter, come on over to BidAmount.com and look under newsletter catalog. You can sign up for free and leave a comment. Thanks so much, and have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.